Welcome back to our podcast, Out of Office by Bridges. If you're new here, hi, my name is Bella. I'm the founder of Bridges. And this is a safe space for women to come and discuss things that are not always talked about when you're an ambitious woman in life. Whether it be corporate, whether it be personal life, whether it be the complexities that you're trying to navigate, this is a safe space for women to have that conversation and potentially learn something. So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about today. And this episode is going to be the start of a new series that we're going to call Unspoken Rules. Because when you enter the corporate workspace, there are so many things that goes on that nobody tells you about, and you're just thrown in and expected to know. Disclosure, this is not advice. This is what I do personally. And I'm just giving you information. What you do with that information is completely up to you. I am not registered to tell you anything. This is just my recommendation. And the first one that we want to start talking about today is benefits. Benefits are arguably one of the most unsexy things that you get thrown in corporate America. But to be honest, in my opinion, it's what allows you to live your best life. And I think you don't realize that. When you're young and you're a 20-something going into the corporate world, you're like, oh, benefits, I don't know what's going on. My company has different plans. And to be clear, benefits are confusing. I think that's something that is really, really unsexy. They don't give you a lot of language to be able to understand the extent of your benefits and like what that really looks like. But I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience and how I set up my benefits to be able to help me live a better life in general, just long term. So benefits. What are benefits? Benefits are subsidized programs that your company invests into that you are allowed to also invest into to make your life better. Some of those benefits include retirement plans like your 401k. They could offer things like Roth IRA, stock matching programs, RSUs depending on your compensation package, or things like an FSA or an HSA. All things that seem very confusing and seem very lackluster, but to be honest, they increase the long-term quality of your life exponentially, and it's probably important that you know some things about it. So I've developed a few, I would say, I don't know if I call them cheat codes, but methodologies for maximizing your benefits that I think are chef's kiss, if I do say so myself. The first one, and arguably in my opinion, I don't know if it's the best one, but it's the one that I think I've used the most, is an HSA account. If you don't know what an HSA account is, it is a health savings account that is dedicated to you inputting money that is tax-free. It is taken out before your taxes are taken out, and you get to input a certain amount every single year. And each year that amount goes up little by little. But generally this account is focused on you paying for your healthcare needs out of this account. And I know what you're thinking, like, Bella, healthcare is super unsexy. I already have insurance. Why do I need this account? This account is amazing because the amount of money that you can get tax-free is pretty flippin' amazing. I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit over $4,000 for an individual person and like $8,000 for families. And that is tax-free money. So when you go to the doctor and you haven't met your deductible for the year and you're paying out of pocket for all this crazy amount of money, that's also something that I think was a really big culture shock to me. I didn't realize that just because you have insurance doesn't mean that everything is covered. Shocker. You pay so much money for insurance every month. Shouldn't everything be covered? No. That's a whole other conversation we can share for another day. But basically, there's this thing called a deductible that you have to hit. So you pay every single month a certain amount of money to have your insurance. For me, it's like, $75 something bi-monthly. So I do that twice a month. It comes directly out of my paycheck. But on top of that, you have this thing called a deductible that you need to hit. What is a deductible? Great question. A deductible is the amount of money that you have to pay out of pocket before your insurance starts to really kick in. Crazy fucking concept. What do you mean my insurance doesn't pay for everything? I pay so much money for it all the time. Yeah, it was quite a learning experience, and I experienced a lot of learning pains having to deal with that I don't want you to have to deal with. So this is where you lock in. Basically, you get to choose different types of insurance plans, and different types of insurance plans cost different amounts of money, which is fine. You can choose ones with higher deductibles, with lower deductibles. It just kind of depends on the plan that you want and what your company provides. Your company does subsidize this cost, meaning they purchase into a much larger package of what their individual employee will contribute based on which package they choose. But generally speaking, your cost for insurance is subsidized heavily by your company. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I personally choose the insurance that has the most coverage, and potentially I think it's the highest deductible or the lowest deductible. I think it's the highest deductible because I want the most coverage. So that means that when my insurance kicks in, I want it to cover the most amount that it possibly can when I'm done spending all my money on my insurance. But with that being said, we're going to go back to an HSA and why that's important. When you are paying for your healthcare costs, let's just say you go to the OBGYN and you have to go for an unexpected visit. Great. And let's say you have to get an ultrasound or something. That is going to cost you like around $800 or something like that. In San Francisco, California, it's going to cost you like $800 to do that. And that will contribute to your deductible. So let's say your deductible is $1,500. Or actually, let's make it easy. Let's say it's $1,000. Your deductible is $1,000. You are going to pay that $800 out of pocket because you have not met your deductible yet. And then let's say you have a therapy appointment, your first of 2026. That will probably put you a little bit over $200. So by that time, your deductible has kicked in and you will have to, you will finally get the incentives of your insurance once your deductible has been met. But you still have to pay $1,000 up front. And $1,000 is not cheap for 2 appointments. And this is really, this is healthcare in the US. Again, a larger conversation, but you had 2 appointments, that's $1,000, right? And honestly, it's probably more than that, but I'm just like, we're using simple numbers here, simple math. You still have to pay that up front. And that's like a hard sum to pay in cash and just pay out of your paycheck every period. So the HSA allows you to roll over your funds year over year and potentially use those funds for health-related costs. So you can buy things like tampons, you can buy things like your doctor's appointments, and you can do that all tax-free. So what I do, here's the secret method. Here's where you really want to lock in people. I'm setting you up for success here. This is something I figured out after 4 years in corporate America. I wish somebody would have just fucking told me this. You are going to take the amount of money that your HSA grants you every single year. Again, this number goes up every single year. You're going to divide that by how many paychecks you have per year. And you're going to figure out what the exact amount is to invest in your HSA every single month. And you're going to max that out. That will save you so much time and wasted energy down the line if you just preemptively set yourself up for success with this. So what you're going to do, you're going to find out how much you can put in your HSA every single month, and you're going to divide that by the amount of times that you get paid per year. And that's the amount that you're going to put in your HSA every single year. And the cool thing about that is if you don't actually use that money, you can actually use that money as an investment account. So your HSA can become an investment account. I'm not a certified financial planner or anything like that. I'm not telling you what to do with your finances. I personally use this as a health savings account that I actually actively use. So for me, I'm somebody who is in therapy. I go to therapy weekly. So this money is used for my therapy money. This money is used for my doctor's appointments, anything like that. Tampons, you can use your money for this. There is another account that is available that is called an FSA. A flexible spending account is an account that you can utilize for similar things. It can be generally used for health purposes, but you have to use it by the end of the year. So it's not necessarily something that you can roll over. By the end of the year, if you don't use your money, you got to spend your money on something. So my girlfriend, Gabby, shout out Gabby, she's an influencer, and her husband, soon to be husband, didn't spend his FSA. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but I'm sharing it anyways. Thanks, Gabby. They bought one of those vibrating plates you see on TikTok where like you stand on it and it just vibrates. I don't know what it does, to be clear. Do I need it? Maybe. I feel like I don't know what it would do to me, to be honest, but there's a video of him. It's so funny. He's wearing a red light mask. So they bought a red light mask and he's on the vibrating plate and they're getting married soon. And she captions it, "It's his wedding day too." The video obviously went viral. It was so freaking funny, but that is an option of a different type of health savings account that you can have. To be clear, as I mentioned before, I am not a certified financial planner or anything like that. I'm just giving you, I'm not giving you recommendations. I'm giving you education on what I choose to do and how I choose to live my life. And it's something that I really wish that somebody would have told me earlier in the process. I was very lucky to have friends at my company that were like, "Hey, these are different insurance plans that we offer. This is one that you should consider." But I didn't realize how exponentially the health savings plan would seriously change my life. And to be clear, because it's taken out before your taxes are taken out, it makes it so much easier to just like not see the money and know that it's going to somewhere that is seriously going to benefit you. And like I said, some people use it as investment accounts. I'm not saying you should or should not do that. Again, I'm not a certified financial planner, but I use it as a health savings account to you just basically pay my medical bills and medical expenses. But all that I'm saying is you are shooting yourself in the foot if your company offers something like this and you are not choosing to take part in it. It is an amazing thing to take part in. Some other things that are notable. You should do your research on the different benefits that your companies offer. Obviously, like I said, because I'm not a certified financial planner or anything like that, I'm not making recommendations on like how you should invest or what to invest or anything like that. I'm not saying anything like that. But I think it's really important to be educated about what your options are and figure out how to utilize that to your best advantage. Usually benefits season comes sometime around, I would say like October, November, when they tell you what the updated benefits are going to be for the year. You get the opportunity to opt in and then lock into what you want for the following year. And it's really, really important that you do your research to figure out like what works best for you and your life. But my personal favorite tip is definitely the HSA. It's something that I feel very passionately about as we are gathering here. So I think the biggest mistake that you can make with benefits in general is not investing in them or using them to your fullest extent, because benefits are experiences that your company buys into so that you are able to use them. And also, I think something asterisk that I'm going to add here is that benefits are a really, really, really strong factor in deciding whether or not you should go to a company, in my opinion. So like, for example, I'll use my current company. I'm not telling you my current employer. If you know it, like, you know, kudos to you, but I'm not going to say it directly on here. But like my current employer doesn't actually pay as high as some other tech companies in the Bay Area. However, we have some of the strongest benefits out of anybody. We are a European company, so I think that instills some like European values, and that being like taking care of your people. What a concept. They do a really, really good job of that. And so with that being said, we get really, really, really good benefits. So we have like company stock purchasing programs. We have different health benefits outside of like HSAs and FSAs. We have company incentives programs. We have like fitness programs. There's so many different things that they offer because they invest in their people. That is 110 bajillion% something to take into consideration when you are thinking about what company to go to and negotiating your compensation and all of those things. If a company does not have good benefits or strong benefits, that should be something you take into consideration within your compensation. So like, for example, I take some medication. One of those medications is like it's almost $2,000 per month, which is crazy. But because of the company that I work at and because they have a partnership with like CVS, that medication is fully covered. Could you imagine that? Something coming out of your pocket that is $2,000 every single month. If your insurance did not cover that, kill me. Literally kill me. That's $24,000 a year, right? If I can do math. Yeah, $24,000 a year. That would be insane to pay out of pocket. But because, and also literally think about that. You go to a company, let's say you make $100,000 a year after tax, California, what are you taking home? 76, let's say 75, let's say $75,000, $25,000, $24,000 of that is going to one medication because your company doesn't have good enough benefits to cover it. That is when I'm talking about how exponentially benefits can change your life. And you should really think about that when you're in the position of the job market and like looking for jobs. You need to take that into consideration. And also as you get older, you know, you're healthy, you're 22, you're coming out of corporate life, shit can happen. Shit can seriously happen. I was so grateful. I chose the highest deductible plan, at least in my corporate setting. And I had to spontaneously go to the ER. I had food poisoning, but the food poisoning was so bad that I had internal bleeding. We don't need to get into it too much. Graphic. I was so sick. I had to get rushed to the ER. It was a crazy experience. My medical bill was $15,000 for a one night stay in the ER. $15,000. Honestly, I was there for like 6.5 hours. So like not even a full night. 6.5 hours, $15,000. My insurance, okay, there's a few things I'm going to tell you here. A few tips and tricks. My insurance covered a good part of it. I think I was personally responsible for maybe 10% of that bill, right? So the bill was $15,000. I was responsible for 10% because I had really good insurance. That's still a lot of money. Have an emergency savings account. Another conversation for another day. But I ended up this is, again, I'm going on a tangent. I just keep going on tangents today. I ended up reaching out to the company because I noticed that they put duplicate charges on my bill. I looked at the itemized receipt of my expense in the ER, and which is like honestly something a financial influencer told me to do. They're like, oh yeah, like look at that. And sometimes I don't really listen to those people, but I was like, you know what? Let's just check. I saw that they charged me duplicate charges for things, one, that I didn't request. I specifically asked not to get certain things. They still gave it to me. Or they still tested things that I did not ask for. And they double charged me on something. So I went back and forth with their medical department, and they didn't respond to me for a year. Every single month for a year, I messaged them and I was like, hey, just following up. Eventually, I got a hold of somebody, and because I did that for a full fucking calendar year, they disputed my entire bill because they couldn't figure out the discrepancies in their system. So, all to say, I saved myself a $15,000 bill by having good insurance, and I saved myself a $1,500 bill by actually following up on the bill charges. I thought that financial influencer was full of shit. She was not. That was some of the best life advice I have ever heard. And it saved me thousands of dollars. So there will never be a medical bill that I see again that I do not dispute. Not to say that I'm hoping to get it for free, but to say that like you shouldn't be getting charged for everything that you like potential or things that you don't necessarily need. That's like the take home there. But because I had really good insurance, that was really, really heavily taken care of. And some people with higher deductibles, they maybe don't have, like I think for me, it was like you pay 10% of your emergency bill if you go based on the insurance that I had. Sometimes if you're paying a lower deductible and you are paying less monthly, I could have been in charge of a $5,000 bill. Medical bills get so expensive. And it's something that nobody really prepares you for, the like negative externalities that like one ER trip can have on your flipping life. And so I just think it's always really good to get in the mentality of being proactive rather than reactive, especially when it comes to things like your health. As you continue to get older, there'll be so many more expenses that you have to pay for in regards to your health, things that you think are covered that are maybe aren't. And it gets so messy. And the best thing you can do for yourself, in my opinion, is set yourself up to be proactive and not reactive so that you can set yourself up for success and be ready when surprises happen, because they will. When I was going, I'm gonna name drop. I don't know if I should, but I'm going to. I went to, what is that oyster place called in Marin? I'm totally blanking right now. Not like they think they have one. Hog Island. Yep, that's where I went. I went to Hog Island Oyster Co. And I got like venom in my blood. Like I got a bacterial infection, food poisoning from having a fish sandwich. I was just having lunch with my girlfriend in Marin. I thought it was going to be a lovely day. I start going home. Actually, funnily enough, oh my God, it was a day we decided to start Bridges. It was a day we decided to go to Bridges. That night, I was rushed to the ER. So actually, this was May of 2024. May of 2024, me and Alexandra, my original co-founder for Bridges, we're having a conversation, we're having lunch, we're setting things up for Bridges. We came up with the name Bridges. I'm sitting on the couch. She says Bridges. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then we start, we have some things set up, our values, whatever we're thinking, and things are dying down. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home. So I start driving over the bridge, going home from Marin, and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling so nauseous right now. But I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm so nauseous. Like, I feel like something's wrong. And I call my boyfriend at the time, and I'm like, I'm not feeling too good, whatever, And then I go home and I start projectile vomiting, and it starts coming out of both ends. It literally starts coming out of both ends, which is you can imagine that experience. I've never had it. What an experience. And eventually it led to me getting internal bleeding. And at midnight, after I think that the symptoms started at 4 p.m. at 12 a.m. when there was excessive blood coming out of me, TMI, trigger warning. I was like, we're going to the fucking ER right now. I can't take this anymore. It was horrible. Yeah, for that long. Anyways, I was 8 hours, right? Math. Yeah. But that was the night that I decided to do Bridges. And it came to fully fruition. That was the night we went into activation mode. I did not pair those two things together until literally right now. That is so funny. I had such a marker in my life. One, because I'm dying, but two, because Bridges was formed. Oh my God, there's death in life. If I had to give you like one kind of like unspoken rule from this episode, I would definitely say it's that an HSA account can literally be the make or break thing for you financially in your life. And it's something that you should seriously consider investing into. Again, not financial advice, but it can be life-changing and can save you and not put you in the hole from one random bad fish sandwich. Like, yeah. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you took something away from this podcast and learned something. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. We would love to have you be a part of the Bridges community. And I would love to hear from you guys. If there was something that you've invested in your health that has absolutely changed your life, in my case, it was an HSA, what would that be? What was that thing? Was it the shaky device plate? Alex, question? Like what was it for you? I'd love to hear.
You know you want it, so you should never get it.